What were you worked up about? Bullshit. All right. Well, cool. So, should I get the 2020 iMac with all the bells and whistles, and then hope that Apple doesn't want to announce anything in the next 10 days?
Yeah, that's definitely not going to happen. I would not know. Don't risk it. There always be something to watch. I'm sure that we're like, oh yay, come to our Wednesday, Thursday announcement. And then you're just going to have to be ready.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I got 14 days to return it.
Anyways, we're on. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Gamer Pups, and on today's very special episode, we are talking about Marvel's latest and greatest, Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We have two guests today. It's not Captain Falcon. You're right. Thanks, Star Shadow, for that funny face, because it's just Falcon, not Captain Falcon. But anyhow, there's Star Shadow here. He's a regular of ours on our D&D game. And then we have Gamer Dad.
You put Captain Falcon up there.
I did put Captain Falcon. Well, fuck me. I fucked that one up. Cool.
Oops.
That's why this is a podcast. We don't really do videos on this.
We are so credible right now. People are going to listen to everything we want to say about this.
So we're going to we're just going to shoot the shit, talk about the general flow of the episode, what we're going to do. So if you haven't watched the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, then by all means, stop this podcast and or Twitch stream and go and watch it. Otherwise, spoilers. You're about to get spoilers. All right. So basically, let's talk about it, right? So I think the overall, I would say the overall feeling of this episode is guilt between both characters, right? They're both going through their own independent journey. Definitely on Bucky's side, but I also feel like Sam has a lot of guilt on his own shoulders. So what do you guys think overall? Before we go into the point by point, just the overall summary of the episode, what do you guys think?
Well, I think Sam's has a lot more to do with struggling to not be able to fit in after a 5-year blip. His whole struggle's literally around like, hey, he doesn't really have exactly a real purpose anymore, at least with his family and everything else. And he's like trying to like make do and do his own little like side gigs and put more reality to what's like going on afterwards. And Bucky, after the Avengers, where he kind of got to be a substitute hero, is just a civilian now, and he's kind of just not. And now he's kind of having to face all the issues of all that.
Anybody?
Star Shadow, why don't you go?
Yeah, I was trying to get my thoughts together first. No, it was very much that. But I don't know. I more saw what Bucky trying to deal with all the trauma that he went through with being the Winter Soldier, and him sort of almost beginning to open up about everything and trying to make amends for all the things that he did.
Dad?
I think you guys are right on that. You know, both of them were blipped, right? And both of them were snapped away. So both of them have different. They're both coming back to different things. And like Bucky is now a civilian. He's been pardoned. He has like absolutely no. You know, Steve was his friend, and we don't still really know where he's at, where Steve is at, and so Bucky is really kind of all alone in the world. Whereas Sam, on the other hand, you know, while he was snapped and he eventually did come back, he has a family, he has people that he can connect with, and so he actually has a little bit more connection to this world, as where Bucky just really trying to make connections with people that he can, and it's really struggling to try to do that. So, but both of them, I like this episode because it really establishes some backstory and character for both of them that the movies have just never had time to do. I mean, Bucky was always the bad guy, and then he was kind of the silent partner there for a little while, and Sam did get a little bit of character development, but again, I like the format that Disney is going with because it's going to give these characters a lot of time to develop. And so far, the first episode did a good job at setting up some of the parameters here.
There's definitely not many 100-plus-year-old people alive that know exactly, like, grew up the same way Bucky did in the world he did, or is also an ex-terrorist because of brainwashing.
And has to go to an ass.
And I think especially with Sam, he's dealing with a different type of abandonment because all of the people that were in his life moved on already. They assumed he was dead. They assumed he was gone and he wasn't coming back, and now he's back.
So let's move on to a scene by scene. So the episode starts. It's the usual Marvel logo, and I am very much perplexed at the first thing you see is Sam. He is in a very funeral looking clothing, and he's handling the shield, and he's going through all these you're getting basically the ending of his story and Steve Rogers' story as of per Endgame, right? So you hear that conversation you have with them, and for a second I didn't know what time we were in, and it gets explained to us later, but so my first reaction to this scene was just absolute shock, because I'm thinking, okay, we ended at Tony's funeral, right? So now are we moving? Where is he? Is he still at Tony's funeral? Is this Steve Rogers' funeral and we just don't know? Because I mean, at some point, fucking Steve Rogers is gonna die, right? So it was a very interesting moment. How did you guys feel about that?
I will say the two characters that have the biggest, and one of the characters is not in this show, but have their own story that is unfolding, is the two characters that are the basically legacy of the Marvel characters that died. Tony and Steve, the two leaders of the Avengers, are both dead. They're gone. And the people they chose behind them have both passed on the mantle to someone else, even though they were supposed to be the one to take it up. Steve chose Sam, and Tony chose Peter. Peter gave it up to someone else and has his own story of what happened because he didn't think he was worthy.
That is a good...
And now we have another story where Sam also doesn't believe he's worthy and did not take the shield.
That's a good point. What do you guys think? Counterpoints?
It's been so long since I saw Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yeah, no, it's been a while. But I didn't really get the funeral vibe from that, but apparently a lot of people were saying that that's what they were getting.
I think that scene was actually right before he went to take the shield to the Smithsonian, and it's a little bit of a setting up that he doesn't feel worthy. But then they slipped to the action sequence in in Tunisia against the French guy whose name is escaping me right now.
Yeah, I did not get who that villain was at the time. I'm pretty sure it'll get explained later, but I'm wondering if it's connected to the main villain that was displayed later on in the show.
But we do have Rhodey talking with Sam, basically telling him that he should have done it.
We haven't gotten that part yet.
That's in the beginning when they're walking through.
No, that's at the Smithsonian.
Oh,
yeah, that's after.
Okay.
Balazar, the Leaper, is that his name?
Is it really?
Yeah.
Is it
so
a villain?
Yeah, it's actually the guy from the Winter Soldier. Yeah, he was on the the ship that in the Winter Soldier movie.
Shit!
That's him. Yeah. And I was like, because he has no neck, I recognized him right away, and I'm like, I was like, cool. He can loop into me anytime he wants. But yeah, that's the same guy, and I can't remember his first name. I have to look it up. But anyways, yeah, that's the same guy. So
yeah, it didn't register for me either.
Into an action scene. There's a lot of action going on. That, like Dad said, it's happening in Tunisia. Sam is taking the LAD or LSD, something DLS, some shit.
LAF.
LAF. Thank you. And they are, there's some hostages. There's a hostage situation. Some really, really cool air combat. Just a lot of over the top Marvel action that we all come to love and adore.
And my husband and I complaining about the physics of the situation as it's unfolding in their air combat and like how they're jumping.
They're engineers, so they're all like, "That's not even possible. You can't do that.
That is like so unlikely. Why do they keep doing that? How are they doing that?"
Yeah,
the guy's name is
Sam has a wingsuit with an engine strapped to his back. How does any of that make sense?
That's what I'm saying.
We have to expand, I guess, our willingness to believe in this imaginary realm here.
Suspend your disbelief.
So after
Batroc is his name.
So after all that craziness, we're Sam saves the day, all awesome stuff. Noticeably, he doesn't have the shield with him. All right, so this is in between all that stuff. He talks to his friend, and that friend guy, I honestly thought, like, the way they kind of filmed him, I thought for sure when I saw him enter the scene, I was like, this dude is gonna backstab him. I'm so used to your friends backstabbing you thanks to Captain America Part 2, like that. Like, I just can't trust anybody anymore. So I'm sitting here like, that dude's gonna backstab him so bad. But turned out he ended up being a really freaking cool dude.
Yeah, later scenes getting his ass completely handed trying to be a good dude.
And he actually is, spoiler alert, also takes on the mantle of Falcon later. In the comic book series, Torres actually takes the mantle of Falcon at one point.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, he becomes Falcon when Sam becomes Captain America.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
There's some very clear setup there.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really cool. So then after that, we transition to the big Smithsonian scene, like the big turning point, I would say, in when it comes down to the Captain America mantle, which I'm just gonna take a quick dip at the end of this episode, but the events that happen in this Smithsonian scene, it's very it leaves you very down. But then it's a perfect setup for literally the last 5 seconds of this episode where I am shitting myself. I definitely think, you know what? I was really glad to see Rhodey in this scene. I was very glad to see that.
I like Rhodey's kind of jabs that he's getting, because Rhodey's also another person using Iron Man's mech suits, but like Falcon is. But is over here basically like, yeah, you should go leave and become Captain America. We need you. But also more of these jabs. It's like, I mean, I'm the one that actually knows how to fly. Maybe I can show you. Joking at him about being the Falcon and stuff. Or in saying that the mantle's better for him to be the flying mech suit.
Yeah.
But again, Rhodey is a character that also kind of took on the Iron Man. War Machine is basically kind of like Iron Man's replacement at the moment as the actual hero. And not the replacement for Stark Industries and his intelligence and everything else that was passed on to Peter. But Rhodey also saying those words to Sam, I felt had more power in that sense. Telling him about picking up that mantle and that he should be doing it. Even though Sam was very, very much like, yeah, it's not me. It doesn't feel right. He's like, that's the first thing that came to mind is it didn't feel right.
What do you guys think about the memorial scene? I mean, the Smithsonian scene, sorry.
Honestly, I really wasn't paying much attention to it because I was sort of hyper-focusing on the Captain America comic book cover that was there.
I I was paying attention to the cute photos of Bucky on the wall. So.
Oh my goodness.
There's a lot there. There's a lot that's in that scene from, like all the different, like the motorcycle and the shield and the comics and the, just all kinds of stuff that's there, which is all references to, the legacy and the history of Captain America. So it was a great, callback to Steve Rogers and the big banners of him behind and everything. And I think it really, you can kind of understand why Sam feels that way. Like he doesn't measure up to Steve, or why he feels he doesn't measure up to Steve. It's hard to, to step into the shoes of someone who's so iconic. And
very true.
Even though he's done all these great things and he's saved all these people over time, it's just he doesn't feel like he's worthy of the taking of the mantle.
He's gotten beaten up really bad by Ant-Man several times.
So iconic is a good word to remember here, listeners, because I would say, other than guilt being a big thing about this episode, another big theme about this episode is icons, right? And that is a very key thing that's going to happen at the very end of this episode. So stay tuned, because we're gonna get there and it's gonna be wild. All right. So Star Shadow, you were saying?
Star Shadow.
Yeah, no, I was saying that, like, on top of all the stuff that we saw in the Smithsonian from, like, when he went there in Winter Soldier, there was also a whole bunch of stuff that was added for Civil War and thing from Infinity War onward.
That is true. That is true. And they had the OG Captain America armor. This is like the Captain America armor for when he was in the Avengers, if I'm not mistaken. Right? Because he ended up donning the black Captain America suit during Winter Soldier. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
I will say, from this point on in the movie I was looking for something that I never exactly found. Because they're pressing this entire time. I can understand Sam's pressure or feeling the need about this whole, like, weight of someone replacing Captain America. But I don't understand the rest of the worlds. There's nothing exactly going on right now that I feel constitutes the need for Captain America or why they need that symbol. And it's kind of the piece of this entire episode as my critique that I don't feel. All the way to the very, very final part of it, where they're, like, pressing forward and saying, hey, we needed this, so we're doing it now. Like, I'm still like, why? And I'm looking for this. Why do we need Captain America? Why is Captain America important now?
So I think this is kind of discussed right before the Smithsonian scene when Sam was talking to his friend Torres, where they were talking about how ever since when people blipped out of existence 5 years ago, obviously the people who were here took advantage of that. And we kind of saw what that looked like during Endgame. Like, the world was really fucked during Endgame.
Yeah.
So and we're almost there. We're going to talk about the blip in a couple of minutes. And we're definitely going to reference WandaVision for this. But so when people blip back into existence, like, now we're kind of returning back to normal, kind of like how the US is trying to pretend that we're going back to normal after Trump and COVID, exactly, right?
After a year being locked inside.
So when you have, like, a major thing, like, it's kind of like people who prospered don't want to go back to the way things were.
Yep. They don't want to give up any advantages they got. I can see that, but I still feel like it's less of a superhero crisis in need, and it's more of a humanitarian crisis. Even as bad guys come out, I'm not seeing these big bads. I'm not seeing Hydra. I'm not seeing these horrible things that constitute Captain America.
Well, I think that's they haven't. We know that there is some threat, obviously, from the flag shredders, flag smashers, yeah. And so I think that's what you're what you should be focusing on, David, is that they are, this is the threat, is that people thought that the world was better off before everyone came back. And so there's this group that is trying to destabilize the world governments. And but they haven't obviously gotten to the point of like being a critical threat. And
but it's still like,
so
why is Falcon not good enough? Why is War Machine not good enough? Why is all the other heroes not good enough?
Well, we'll get to that point. I don't want to jump to the end yet. Let's just
I know.
Let's hold
it's
on.
Just like, why is Captain America the requirement?
I don't know. So right after this Smithsonian scene, we get to kind of what seems to me kind of the main grabbing thing of this episode. Mainly because I relate a lot with Bucky in this sense. So the next scene, right, is we're back in the past. This is Winter Soldier. He's doing his missions as a Hydra agent. He's killing all these people. He does a lot of bad things, and he ends up waking up, and surprise, it's a nightmare. At first, I was a little nervous because I was like, oh, fuck, is he really going back to that haircut? Like, I don't really want to go back to that haircut again. That was, like, really horrible. But, and then you saw the red star on his arm, and I was like, okay, fine, this is a nightmare. He ends up killing a character, which ends up becoming extremely important later on in the episode. And then he wakes up, and then he's talking to his therapist, which this scene right here makes me laugh so much. The therapist scene is incredible because I go through therapy myself, so I totally know exactly what Bucky's thinking, what he's going through, like Bucky says things that I wish that I could say to my fucking therapist. And it's awesome.
Well, you have to also understand that therapist isn't like, hey, I need help therapist. This therapist is, hey, the government's watching you and we got to make sure you're okay because we're worried you're going to kill people therapist.
That's true. I think she's more like, what is that called? Like a parole officer.
Much more like a parole. Yeah, you're a civilian now. But
a parole therapist?
Maybe it's a parole therapist of some sort.
You know,
a parolist.
We never know if you're going to switch sides on us again, so we're going to watch you.
Yeah. And,
that.
Go
ahead, Haji.
No, you go.
I was going to say that scene is comedy gold because he is saying things. He's like, "Oh, you're with the Notebook again." She starts writing things down, and
you're being
I was rolling. Yes, I was rolling, laughing, and it's it's like
your therapist. I mean, your clients.
Yeah, and she's, she was in the trailer, so she's gonna reappear. But yeah, she's great. She was the banter between those two was great, and I especially love the fact that she's like, what are the three things that we said we were gonna do? And he's like, and then he starts into this flashback where he was trying to find someone who's a Hydra agent. And that's I think that list, like he has a list. I know I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but actually no, he shows the list in that scene, doesn't he? In that flashback,
he does.
And those are all people that I think these are all people that he wants to make sure are thrown in jail or are brought to justice for the shit that they've done.
Yeah, he said people he put in power that are now abusing it. And they're still abusing it. They haven't changed.
Yeah.
And he feels responsible so far as long as they're abusing it that he needs to correct it.
I'd like to draw an interesting comparison here, how both Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes like to keep their things down on a list. They write it down in a tiny little notebook, right?
You know when they were born,
it's
right?
Like they don't. Well, I know, but I'm saying it's very interesting. Like the attention to detail on this thing is really good.
It is far more realistic for them that they would write things on lists. That would fit their characters. They're not going to have an iPhone with notes and or Jarvis telling them back to them. It's like, what
Jarvis.
Is it Ada the new one?
No, Friday's the new one.
Friday.
Yeah.
Friday.
Hey, Warpup.
Hello.
Yep, and like Dad said, there's a flashback scene. You see Bucky kind of just, basically kind of, he's clearing his conscience, right? This is a very conscience-driven You know, this is the first time I think that I've ever actually seen Bucky to be vulnerable. And I mean, when he's not being chased by fucking superheroes, the government, or, you know, Russians. Like, this is the first time you actually just see Bucky just go, hey man, I'm fucked up.
And she did reduce him from that point, and she's like, you know what, you're lonely. She's like, you have no friends, you have no one, and that's what we were getting at. It's like, you're lonely. You're completely alone. I get that you're alone and you need to work on that. That's your real problem. Not worrying about everything else. You need to worry about being alone.
Yeah.
Fix
but I do love the way he takes down the Marjorie Taylor Greene character in the you know, it's just great. So you think she's a Hydra agent?
Nah, I don't think so. Man, I don't know. I can't trust anybody thanks to the Winter Soldier movie.
Are we
like,
actually worrying more about sword agents now?
Oh, yeah. Well, man, I can't. We're going to have to do one of these for fucking WandaVision, too. We're just going to have to do this.
I'm sure I start gushing about that.
So right after this scene, there's a little bit more exposition on Bucky. You kind of see that he's got an older gentleman friend, which is not that different from Steve Rogers, because I think Steve Rogers, when he was adapting to everything post the ice, he also was hanging out with older individuals. So this is, again, perfect attention to detail. He gets set up on a date and all that stuff. All that stuff we kind of get skip. I mean, it's a lot of exposition for Bucky, and it's great things for him. But the interesting part here is Mr. Nakashima's son. Anybody want to talk about this?
I'm gonna let someone else grab this one. I saw him.
That was a gut punch. That was a big gut punch when he found out who his son was. It was just like, and it kind of made sense with what we saw with his nightmare flashback when we first saw him in the show. Just him killing the guy just for being there, and then cutting back to this, and it's like, oh, he's trying to make up for what he did then, and it's like, all right.
So Bucky's very much chasing his conscience. He's not focusing on himself, making it. He is currently chasing everything, trying to fix his world as of wrong, which makes me worry that there's going to be a critical point when Bucky gets to something he can't fix. Because I don't.
Well, we do know that Zemo's coming back, and we know that there's going to be some tension between the two of them. So
that is true. That is true, because I think Zemo did kind of definitely fucked him up. That's a personal thing, that's for sure.
Well, all Zemo really did was use the code words to activate him.
He also framed him for blowing up the UN summit in the Winter Soldier as well. So, I mean...
let's see.
No, that was Civil War. I'm sorry, my bad. Civil War.
It does move us forward and from this point and show us the importance of the next 5 episodes after this. That Sam and Bucky, in a way, need each other. Mm-hmm. Sam,
brown chicken, brown cow.
Bucky needing that friend, that other person, extremely bad, and Sam needing that grounding to an identity attached to Captain America to be what he needs to be. Which Bucky is that other person, so they're going to connect in that way, and they're I don't know how or what yet that's going to fully bring them together, but I'm assuming it's going to be the Flag dudes.
That's probably that. I think it's safe to say. I don't know if this is a spoiler, but it's definitely a theory. It's theory territory, right? So I definitely think the Flag Smashers and Zemo are connected.
Well, I actually think I changed my mind. I think they're both going to be upset about the announcement at the end of the first episode, and that might be actually what causes them to come together.
That is true, yeah.
Because both of them don't seem very Sam's literally okay. We'll get to that.
Well, we'll get to that. All right, so
Batroc and Zemo have a relationship in the comics, so they have worked with each other in the past. So it could be a pretty easy setup to. I mean, they're all terrorists, right? So, and bad guys. So they have worked together in the past. So that may be where that's going. Now, as to why exactly Batroc was trying to kidnap the captain, hard to say. The guy that he was actually he had kidnapped in the first scene. Not sure what that was about, and but we'll see where that leads.
That's a good idea, a Psycup. Psycup says perhaps the Flag Smashers are related to the Weapon X program. I'm not sure. Again, and we're almost there. We're almost there. We're almost to the WandaVision crossover. Okay, but I'm gonna say maybe. So after this scene, after the Bucky exposition, what he's been doing, his past, and what's haunting him, we get back to Sam. Okay, so Sam, he arrives at his family boat in Louisiana, and this is the first time we actually find out when this show is taking place. Okay, so here's the overall timeline. Endgame happens, Tony dies. You have the funeral. A week after that, WandaVision.
Yep.
All right, so the events
I thought WandaVision was 3 weeks.
Was it 3? It's very soon. We can say it very soon.
It's almost immediately.
It's almost immediately after. Yeah. Okay. So this means that Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier is post everything happening in Westview, New Jersey, and which I don't think actually exists.
No, I don't think it does.
And then, so you have all of Captain Falcon and Winter Soldier. However, this happens, and then you have Spider-Man. Far From Home, because Spider-Man Far From Home is 8 months afterwards.
Yep.
So
it's like a full school year after.
Right. So now we that's the general timeline that we have now. WandaVision, Captain Falcon and Winter Soldier, and
there. He kept saying Captain Falcon
because I wanted to be Captain America. So
but instead it's Captain Falcon.
Yeah, it's Captain Falcon. So we get that little not being allies anymore. Right. No, wait. No, it's not. That's not it, Brody. But that's a really good observation. Yes. This show has to happen after WandaVision because of Rhodey's statement of saying that allies are not friends anymore. So that's a very interesting catch, Psycho. That's really good. So we get our first little dump on where we are in time, and you find out a little bit more about Sam. Sam's big issue here is that he's stepping up to responsibility post blip, post Thanos, kind of in a small lull. Because when you kind of look at WandaVision and this show, and if you kind of see where Spider-Man is, I would say within reason, the world is kind of in a peaceful place. So you're not gonna have the Avengers running around doing everything. And I know peaceful is a stretch of a word, but so
I will say WandaVision, because it all happens in a blip, is mostly only dealing with Wanda's trauma and very less about the blip until it gets to the end.
Yeah, and so
and the blip is really only related and talked about the agent of the Sword Agency and what it impacted. Nothing further, really. We're not talking about these people's lives or what happened before then. We're talking about Wanda coming back and finding a missing Vision, and 5 years later and looking for a Vision, and that's the relation to the blip, and that's what we deal with here. And this show, with Sam, the boat, the incident, his family is there trying to survive with their business, their legacy, their parents being gone, and now losing that, not having the money, not having the things, not having the support, and he has nothing for 5 years.
I think it's interesting when Spider-Man handled this, they kind of treated the blip as something to kind of laugh at, right?
Because, kids that were 5 years
It's kind of like, oh, haha, this is weird, right? Like, oh, this person I went to school with is now 5 years older than me, right? But now, when we look at both WandaVision and this series, right? Holy shit. I fucking freaked out when they showed how horrific being blipped back into existence were. And I think me and Dad definitely made a couple of jokes about this. Like, what if a woman was pregnant and then her baby blipped, but not her, right? Like, do you know what I'm saying? And exactly. Star Shadow has the face that I had when I thought about that.
I'm over here like, what if you were flying in an airplane and you got blipped And then when you blip back, there's no airplane anymore, and you're just like, woo!
Exactly. What if you were
How many
driving a
people fell
car?
through the sky?
Exactly. See,
I never thought about this before. Oh my god! Oh my god!
Exactly.
Oh.
What if you were giving childbirth and you just blipped out of existence? Like, there's just so many questions here, which is why that hospital scene in WandaVision was so. It was so grabbing because it's treated so delicately in Endgame and in Spider-Man that you really kind of don't think about those things until you see WandaVision, and then you're like, oh my god. It's nuts. It's crazy. I thought that was really good. And then so that's the immediate horror. What you then see in this show is the like after blip kind of horror. Like the aftershocks, right? Like you have all these banks that take, advantages of people being gone and all these things. It's
so Sam,
really weird.
Sam trying to help his sister is basically the first thing that starts happening. And he's like, hey, I'm the hero. I can save you. Like, we're not going to lose this. I say we're not going to lose this. She wants to sell the boat, give up. She's like, there's no way we can repair this. They end up in a bank. And he's even trying to play his superhero card about being like the Falcon and everything else. And the bank's looking at all stuff. And they're like, you have no income for the last 5 years. I can't give you money.
He wasn't there for the last 5 years.
Yeah,
he
like,
literally did not exist.
And then it's like also like, what do you even get for being a superhero? And he's like, well, I kind of do it for goodwill.
Man,
like,
so like I can't believe I love that scene, but also hate that scene because if you haven't picked up the undertones of people of color who face these challenges every day on a daily basis, like that was here. Like at the end of the day, Falcon, Sam, he could have been fucking Captain America. He could have been Superman for all, but it didn't matter at that time because he was black.
Well, it also meant,
and it's just he was cool for the wings and all, but he wasn't cool enough for that bank account.
Do you? I know this is completely unrelated to Marvel, but it was a show we watched last year, and it's definitely related to POC, and it's probably one of the best series you could watch related to POC right now. It was fucking amazing. Was Lovecraft Country.
Lovecraft Country.
And in Lovecraft Country, we see the main character over and over and over again try to use his soldier status first over being black in order for people to treat him with respect.
Yep.
And we see Sam and his sister sitting in front of a white banker asking for help, into which Sam immediately goes to first lean on being a hero before anything else.
I find the dichotomy in this scene very interesting because the sister doesn't want to play the hero card.
Nope.
She just wants to go. She wants to get the loan. She thinks she's good enough to get the loan. But she thinks she's good enough to get the loan, but she knows. She knows what she's going up against. So she knows what's going to happen, right? But Sam kind of sweet talked her into this, and like he's playing his superhero card. I don't know. What did you guys think about the bank scene?
It was rough because of the whole racial divide. Like, you are a black woman going up to a white man and asking him for money. Do you really think it's going to end well? Like, no.
It's supposed to be fair, but
I'm sorry.
It's maybe it's even more appropriate in the whole Captain America thing, and so much of it is constantly a joke on American values and systems, and that's probably one of the biggest things in our culture that is like a direct front face that we have to fucking deal with that we never do, and they kind of set it up very well in that situation, and they made the superhero Falcon drop down and even reduced that it didn't matter all through that because they still made him Falcon. And I think also dissecting reasons why he might not feel like he doesn't deserve the shield might have to do with what society places value on him and what he can do and his value from that.
Yep.
Dad, your opinion?
Yeah, it is a really poignant look at how Black Americans and people of color have to deal with these kind of situations. And honestly, it's perfectly written there. That the banker is so excited to meet Sam and is asking for a selfie. He does the selfie. Can't touch your muscles, and they
he just took a picture without even asking first.
You're right, he did, didn't
that was kind of insane.
But then at the same time, he's like, I can't help you. I don't. It's not that I could pull some strings for you. It's just we can't help you. Like, I know you've been a valued client of ours for a long period of time, but
they kept
sorry.
That all out there that there was many reasons that they should have accepted it, but they still said no. They had a long-standing history. He had income up to that point. Before the blip, it was only missing because of the 5, so he had reason. And he's like, I have contracts that are giving me money. Here they are, and I brought them as proof. And it wasn't enough.
Yep.
It didn't matter.
So it was really well done in that regard. I think that, and it's a truth that a lot of people have to deal with, that it happens every day in the United States. And it is, like Hachi said, it is a really interesting look at American values when we say everyone is equal, unless you're a person of color. So
I'm very happy that Marvel is taking some of those tones, especially from this perspective, because this series is a black series right now. Sam is the main character.
Yeah.
We haven't really had much of that at all in the Avengers.
So we're gonna so meanwhile all this is happening. Meanwhile into Switzerland.
Can I quickly?
Oh wait, yeah.
Switzerland.
I want to add my
Switzerland.
point. It's like we haven't really had that much in the Avengers because Black Panther existed in his own idealistic society that did not deal with the struggles that a Black American faces. So yes, there was a Black Avenger, but he had a different life, one of high powers of king and prince.
Yeah.
It was completely different than what Sam has to go through.
I think the word there.
Yes, he was black. He was a Black American.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, when they were describing that movie, were talking about how Black Panther was a good example of Black excellence,
and
which I have to honestly say is pretty accurate for that tone of that movie. So as we were,
that's in Africa,
right? So as I was corrected by Star Shadow, in Switzerland, while all this is going on, we are with Mr. Future Captain Falcon. I did not know that. I mean, Future Falcon, Mr. Torres. He promised Sam that he was going to follow these world flag smashers on the internet, but instead he decides to go to one of these, what seems to me like a flash mob robbery.
Yeah, like here.
It really was what it was.
We're doing it now.
And so, like, I'm not sure who that guy in the mask is. Is he still the Leaper guy?
No, it was a different guy.
I think it was a different guy.
Okay, so whoever that person is, has got to be on some kind of super soldier serum of some sort.
Yeah, he's definitely super powered. Fucking tossing him, like grabbing him and just. Whoom.
Yeah, that was. There's something, and I think that's David's point earlier. These are the bad guys, right? And this is the threat to the world right now, is that there's this group that is trying to destabilize the world governments, and they feel like things should go back to the way before the blip happened. But as what they're exactly why robbing a bank is necessarily going to destabilize a world government, I don't know. But
there's but a Swiss bank, like that is
earlier. Do we think that there is still the Avengers? And I think we need to make sure to wrap up the point at the end of Endgame, at which kind of we see Black Widow sitting around the monitors and explaining how pretty much everyone is gone and there's not much help. And then several of the people who were there are gone. We don't have Vision. We don't have Tony. We don't have Steve. And then the people that were supposed to replace them were kind of like Wanda and everyone else were stepping up. And they were like Ant-Man, and they were all like there, like basically waiting and like to be stepped in as the new Avengers, because Tony was trying to plan for that beforehand. but not Tony is gone, and none of that really went to fruition. So after the two leaders went, we've not actually seen at all a single get together of the Avengers again. They were there, and like even Thor's gone. Thor's with the Guardians.
He's out in space doing stuff.
I can't wait for that. That movie's gonna be crazy. But yeah, we're trying to stay on topic.
I just thought it was important because that is a question. It's like, where are the Avengers? And it's like they're pretty much not there. There's not many left now.
It's very much it's the same question that was asked in Far From Home. It's like, where are the Avengers? And that I don't know if that'll be answered in this series, but it's still very much a question that was present in WandaVision and in the show and in, I guess we'll see.
But even Spider-Man was kind of like asking, and they're like, oh, they're off-world doing different shit. They're gone. They're not here. That's what they're... But he was also being lied to by Mephisto, so...
Yeah.
Not Mephisto, what's his name?
Fuck. You messed me up. Fuck, what's his, It wasn't
Mysterio.
Helmet Head. Mysterio, yes.
Mysterio was lying to him up to that point. So... Yeah.
Yeah, like, we all know Mephisto's not in the MCU.
Not yet.
He's coming.
I don't know. WandaVision. I don't want to. We'll get there. We're gonna get to that.
We need to do a WandaVision.
We're gonna get there. So we're kind of reaching to the end because I think right after that scene we go back to Falcon. He's kind of coming back from the whole bank fiasco, and then he is fighting with his sister. Of course, it didn't go as well as he thought it was gonna go. And then the biggest what the fuck moment of this episode. Am I right, guys? Am I right?
Yep.
Like I was like, what the fuck? Okay.
Why do they have to pick such a fucking ugly Captain America?
So
that's your big problem with that?
That is not America's ass.
So here comes. So there's this senator. I think he's the senator of something, and he's talking about how America needs to be back on the forefront. Very much, in my opinion, my own personal opinion, not the opinions of anybody else on this podcast, but he's talking very much white nationalist rhetoric and talking about how America needs to be strong, America needs to face the world head on, and in order for all of that to happen, we need to stand behind a symbol. And who walks out? Motherfucking John Walker, U.S. agent. And he is candling the Captain America shield that was donated to the Smithsonian. It is the biggest slap in the face to end the episode. And then that's where we are. We're at the credits.
Yeah, first off, they did not consult Sam. Sam had no clue. Sam's getting surprised there. Head over, kind of like, what? As the TV goes on, and like even his sister comes in and is like, you want to watch this? And we don't know Bucky's reaction. Bucky's not there.
Yeah, we don't know. That's a
yet.
good observation. What was the thoughts going through your guys' head? Like what was happening when that was going on?
That this is not America's ass.
Well, obviously that, but also it's a little too convenient that it happened right after the bank robbery.
Well, that's fair too, because like I said up to this point, what was the driving point that put him there? There's nothing at all that told us that we needed a Captain America.
See,
so that means there must have been a coincidence or a reason or purpose.
I know you guys want. I know you at least want to go for that Hydra agent or super evil, but no, actually, John Walker is a good guy. John Walker, U.S. agent, is just pretty much just like a super FBI person or something like that. He's very much.
Yeah, he's like.
Yeah.
He is the Guy Gardner of the MCU. Of
exactly.
Marvel.
That's exactly who he is. He's just the guy in the suit. I don't even think he's got any super soldier or anything.
No, he's just there to look pretty.
Yeah.
Even though Cruz says he
does.
doesn't.
Doing a good job about that, but
so he's basically, you know what this scene kind of gives me? Flashbacks to actually Captain America, the First Avenger, right? Where here comes Steve. He's all fucking juiced up and shit. And,
like during his whole propaganda days, yeah.
Exactly. All he is like just doing this whole Bond thing.
Oh, he's a figure. He's not actually a superhero in the beginning. They make him first just a symbol, and they're like winning photo ops. And
Yeah, he's just a showpiece.
And
I feel like that's what John Walker is here in this situation. I know, Dad, you know a little bit more about the MCU history and comics in general. So, what was going on in your head when you saw John Walker come down those steps?
I mean, I figured that was, and from the trailers, we kind of knew that was going to happen. That there was going to be this kind of person in taking the captain's place, and kind of. But yeah, he is more of a kind of a corporate tool, and more of kind of just a spokesperson rather than a actual, really superhero. And he's very.
Sorry. I was gonna say I don't see his videos in Far From Home, so you got blipped.
Yeah. And it's definitely a situation where they needed someone to take that mantle. As to why exactly this is the time, I don't know. That's hopefully that's something they'll reveal later. And I think this will be the impetus to give Sam the reason to actually, want to take the mantle and to do it. Because I think the ultimate goal here is by the end of the series is to get Sam into the Captain America. Maybe he can be Captain Falcon, as Hachi keeps like to say. He'll be the Captain America of the Avengers. But I don't know what will happen to John. Like if he'll maybe step into I forget the agent.
U.S. agent.
U.S. agent. Yeah. We'll see what happens. But it was definitely a kind of a big old fuck you to Sam's, considering he turned over the shield for the Smithsonian.
Yeah. I wonder if this series will eventually start popping up like other countries' version of Captain America, because that was a thing at one point. Like you had Captain Canada and Captain Britain or something in the comics. So I'm almost waiting for this, because this is gonna be amazing if that's what happens.
Wait, who's the daddy in the Russian daddy in the new Black Widow movie?
Oh God, I forgot that movie was.
Yeah, because there's that as well, right?
I'm looking forward to that daddy.
The guy from Stranger Things, though.
Yes,
Hopper,
that's right. That's him.
So I do want to remind you, there's another rhetoric that follows from WandaVision that is very similar about stuff that they call their property. Remember when they stood over Vision's body and he said, "That's not Vision, that's our property. That's the U.S. property, and that's so much vibranium that belongs. We can't just leave that there. That belongs to us."
Red Guardian, yeah.
And you know what else is also vibranium just sitting there in large amounts that the U.S. government most likely believes is theirs, and that's the shield that they are going to especially sell.
Ironically, when the memorial scene was happening, I did honestly, and Cruz will be witness to this, I did honestly say, you know what, Sam, that's an awfully a lot of vibranium to just be leaving in this box here. You shouldn't be just leaving this box. That's a lot of money there. But yeah.
Yeah, Wakanda's not going to be happy about that.
Yep.
So then I guess from that point on, we get to the credits, and unfortunately, like WandaVision, for the first episode, no post-scene credits. So
you guys are going to have a hard time next week, because I won't be able to watch. Well, I can watch it, and I can try and do this at a distance from my phone.
Could do that. But yeah, so like...
I can watch with Dad. Dad will be with me.
Oh shit, yeah. It'll be the same situation, except you're with Dad.
Yep.
Interesting thing about the credits, though. Is if you do honestly watch all the credits, you'll see all the propaganda that the U.S. is doing with John Walker. So you have stuff like Cap is back, John Walker as Captain America. It's almost creepy how quick they're replacing Steve
You mean
Rogers.
the giant capitalistic market and system and country that is obsessed with money and like giant corporate symbols, turning a symbol of like patriotism into something they can exploit and make money from? Out of fake like heroism?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Am I not supposed to say
Well,
that?
we also know that there was a casting for Carl Lumbly, and there's a good possibility he may come in as a Black Captain America. So before Steve was Captain America, the U.S. government was experimenting on black soldiers with the superhero soldier serum, and had actually created a Black Captain America. And so there's a possibility that Sam may find out about that, and
That would actually be interesting.
That would be wild. Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Wow, again, the United States doing more of its normal shit, like experimenting on black
Yeah.
people with things before they do it on white people.
So interesting thing, this series is actually headlined and directed, by a black director. He actually fought to get this show made. So it's very interesting, and you can definitely see that, especially in the black focused scenes, like you know, in Louisiana, and you know, even the tiny little family things. They're making their crawfish kind of stuff. So I'm very interested because the last time we had a black person direct anything Marvel, I think it was Black Panther,
and it was fucking amazing.
and it was really good. So I'm really happy to see where this is going. I guess that's really it. Any last words you guys want to say? I mean, I pretty much led this entire discussion, but
well, you didn't just watch the movie, the episode right before this as like a replay, so it was freshest in your head instead of ours, because I'm still banking on it from yesterday.
Yeah, same here.
So what do you guys, I guess, what was the biggest standout moment for you guys on this episode?
The really intense close-ups in Bucky's therapy. Like they were so
me, yeah.
like right there, it made you super uncomfortable.
The therapy scene was definitely mine. Yours?
I don't know if I actually had a scene in this one that like dragged. So I will say, in comparison to WandaVision, I was happy about the action-packed like intro they gave us, because it's what I asked for, it's what I wanted. But I also don't feel like I had as many iconic scenes like as the first episode gave me of WandaVision, or almost every episode of WandaVision gave me, that was just constantly feeding me these unique, interesting situations that I was just like in. That was the style that they were going for. I feel like I was back in the first part of a movie. And and normally the best part of even Marvel movies is parts where they get to banter and go back and forth and have fun, and those are the most memorable parts of the movie, not the hey, I fucking punched the bad guy, and we didn't even really get that yet. So the bad guy punched them. So I'm not much for funerals. I guess probably if I was going in from a personal critique of scenes I thought had value that the director did, it probably was closer to the end with when they were trying to get the money and what he was trying to do and kind of their situation.
That was a good
because
scene.
I thought that was the most valuable thing that they put in yet, from a perspective giving a reminder to us of who Sam is, that he is also a Black American facing real Black American things, and not just the Falcon. And it doesn't matter that he's the Falcon, that he is still a Black American, and the country will remember him first for being a Black American before all the things he's done as the Falcon.
Dad?
For me, it was when Bucky goes to see his Mr. Nakajima, and he realizes, or they reveal that the guy that he killed in his flashback was his son.
Yeah.
Was the old guy's son. And I think that was, to me, that was probably, I thought that was a great connection. And it actually, that kind of was a little bit creepy and kind of weird that he is trying to make amends for this somehow.
I was going to do that.
Yeah.
You can constantly try to make amends for your past, but living in your past is a bar you'll never it will get over. He's going to be stuck, and something in his character development is going to have to help him move forward. You can't just keep moving forward by going backwards. It doesn't work that way. And that is going to be his most crucial part of his character. I give him credit for wanting to take care of the people that were harmed by his actions, but there's only so much he can do. He's going to get busted if he keeps at this, and I think that might be what they'll do to show him that he's going to get stuck, because he's going to have to get stuck to realize he's got to go the other way, and he's got to go forward.
Yeah. Now I actually think about this now. Like, I wonder if Tony Stark is on his apology list.
Oh shit! We can't apologize to him now. He's
Oops,
dead.
I killed your parents.
So I killed your parents.
Well, he could apologize to Stark's daughter. Like, killed your grandparents.
Ooh, true.
And then your dad found out about it, and Steve and I beat the shit out of him. And sorry about that.
Sorry, you don't have any grandma or grandpa.
Yeah.
But to be honest, grandpa was kind of a dick, so you probably are going to be better off not having that pressure.
He was cooler than Agent Carter, okay?
He was a dick. Tony had like some of the most severe daddy issues of all the Marvel MCU.
He really does. He really does. Also, is Agent Carter even canon anymore?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Okay.
So this was
Because I heard
really
Agents
fun.
of
I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this, doing this little podcast. I enjoy talking Marvel with a bunch of people, especially with Dad. Dad's awesome. So
Star Shadow's awesome.
Star Shadow's awesome too. Yes, I'm just.
Jesus.
I haven't brought Star Shadow into these conversations, and now having Star Shadow around, it's a nice little 4-way.
To be fair, like what gave us this idea is normally after every week of any episode of anything we watch we watch with Dad, he almost calls us out immediately after, and
what did you think? And
we
then
talk for like an hour.
So we're like, we have a lot of gold here. Why don't we turn it into a podcast? And that's what it is. We're gonna do this for all of Captain America, and then we are gonna go back and do some WandaVision. Because there is going to be a little bit of a break between this show and Loki.
Wait, when's the Black Widow come out? I thought it comes out.
So I think that's what's supposed.
It comes out in May.
Right. So I think this show ends in May. Then Black Widow, right? But that's not going to take a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be one episode,
right.
One thing everyone's going to go see, then Loki.
Right. So I'm saying, like, we're going to do WandaVision during that time, and then we're going to try to do the movies. I don't know how it's going to work because COVID, right? But
are they not just dropping it on Disney Plus for everyone to watch?
Oh, right. Hey, guys, go ahead and spend $30 and watch one movie.
I mean, we were going to spend $20+ a person to go watch it in the theater anyways.
That's true.
At least I can do it in my home and actually touch myself while I do it.
Oh my god.
I am cutting that from this recording.
Why? It wasn't that
You better. Jesus.
But, well, so that's our first episode. Really good episode. Really good chat, guys. Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Star Shadow. And, of course, thanks to my partner. For being part of this. If you've listened all the way here and still haven't watched the first episode, you got spoiled. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Did
but
you at least put like a big spoiler warning on the label so people don't pop in and go, fuck?
Maybe I should do that.
Because like we're probably gonna like turn to our phones.
Listen,
and people are gonna be like, I
I
fucking hate you right now.
I called the title Captain Falcon. All right, I already started off on the wrong foot. Okay, but so I'm gonna get this processed and worked on and get this released as a podcast.
Isn't Captain Falcon a fucking Nintendo character?
He is.
Yes, he is.
Falcon Punch.
Anyways, so I'm gonna get this, all done and process into a podcast and then figure out what to do with that audio. And then, so join us next week on, I guess, Monday or Tuesday. Well, no, this episode should come out on Monday or Tuesday. And, we'll figure it out. Just follow our Discord or Facebook and you'll find out that information. Thanks, guys, for watching, and enjoy your day. There's no post-credit after this exit. There's no post-credit scene. Sorry, guys. All right.
Yeah, if you want post credits, you got to go to the Discord.